Guyana government reached broad agreement in process to select a new elections boss. And in sport, a suggestion that India's tour of the West Indies could be a catalyst for the regional side's rebuilding. I'm Ricardo Roberts and this is Caribbean in 10 for Wednesday, July 17th. I'll be back with the details after the break.
The theme song beckons everyone to come and see. And if the launch of the 2019 Tobago Heritage Festival is a sign of things to come, patrons are in for a real treat. The theme of this year's festival is an authentic educational experience, and this will be reflected in all aspects of the festival.
We therefore intend to present authentic elements of Tobago's history.
Coming up, top draw acts, influential players, all making moves during Caribbean Week New York. A familiar scenario for hotel icon Sir Royston Hopkins. When it comes to Barbados tourism, it's win-win for everyone. Cultural entertainment, fashion, music. It's all next on Caribbean Passport on this station.
Now, of the 5 people shortlisted for the post of chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission, GCOM, President David Granger has found 4 persons to be not unacceptable. Granger said he and opposition leader Barak Jagdeo met late yesterday at the Ministry of the Presidency and a broad agreement was reached. Now, in a statement following the meeting, Director General of the Ministry of the Presidency, Joseph Harmon, said the two sides also agreed that as part of the hammering out process, the 2 names suggested by President Granger and other names as necessary will be discussed further at a meeting slated for today. Now, the President had shortlisted attorney Cassandra Alls and Justice Claudette LaBennett from a previous list of 8 he had suggested. A working group was established by the President and opposition leader to hammer out a list of 6 persons to be submitted to the President so a new chair can be appointed, but talks between the 2 sides broke down last Thursday.
We have moved forward. The process which the Director General described will move forward tomorrow in that there will be a smaller team. We will not use the same working group. There will be a smaller team which will continue the process of engagement. We have not disengaged and we are working to have a list which could be sent by the leader of the opposition to the President as early as possible.
The opposition had said it could get no clear indication from the government of which names the President definitely has no problems with. Now, the 2 sides were urged by the CCJ in its June 18th ruling to hammer out a list of names to select a new chairman after it was found that the process used to appoint the previous chairman was flawed. Jamaicans could continue to see the use of states of emergency to curtail crime for up to 7 years as the government targets reducing murders to approximately 500 per annum. Prime Minister Andrew Holness gave the timeline as he spoke in the House of Representatives yesterday afternoon in the debate to extend the state of emergency in the St. Andrew South Police Division until October 5th. He argued that a state of emergency was the best tool at this time for achieving meaningful reductions in murders.
If we continue to use this strategy in a selective way, give ourselves 5 to 7 years, and we can bring our murder rate down to 16 per 100,000 or 500. And then after that, you would be in a position. Well, we would then, Mr. Speaker, be in a position to now use conventional methods to maintain that and reduce crime.
Opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips again stressed that a more wholesome crime plan was needed. He called for more resources for groups which are integral in the social intervention process, like the Peace Management Initiative.
And my information is that a good part of the reduction that was sustained in St. Catherine North and in Kingston Central was due to the activities of the peace management initiative which delivered in these communities.
But for former National Security Minister Peter Bunting, the state of public emergency is but a smokescreen. He again reiterated his view that it's a public relations strategy by the government and called for alternative measures to crime fighting.
And that report from TVJ News. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Wednesday said it had ended the investigations into the so-called Email Gate scandal that sought to link a former Prime Minister and several other senior members of her administration to sinister plot to undermine the judiciary, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, and the media. Back in 2013, then opposition leader Dr. Keith Rowley told Parliament that he had received a total of 31 emails in December 2012 from a whistleblower indicating how operatives within the government had sought to undermine those institutions. He said he had passed them on to the Office of the President. The then government of the Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar denied the allegations and in some instances sought legal remedies. And stay with us, your Midday Sport is next. An ex-West Indies Test batsman believes India's tour of the Caribbean comes at the right time for the regional side, still fresh from their World Cup experience. Now speaking with TV6's Vinod Nawani, Brian Davis said he believes the Indian series will act as a catalyst for the team to begin its rebuilding process.
Now that the World Cup is over, the West Indies are preparing for their assignment against India in the Caribbean. The teams play 3 T20s and ODIs, followed by 2 Test matches. Former Windies batsman Brian Davis says this is the perfect time to be playing against the team from Asia.
Well, I think it's great to have India come in here, and especially right after the World Cup, when we are still in cricket mode, so to speak. And I think that it could help us start our rebuilding process and getting serious, our coaches in place. And I think that it's a very good timing. So I'm happy to see if India comes here. India is a very powerful team.
There are reports that Indian skipper Virat Kohli and pacer Jasprit Bumrah may miss the entire series, but that's left to be seen. Davis also provides his take on the matter.
Virat Kohli and Bumrah, they are so productive for their teams, and they play in every version of the game, every format. So I believe it could be a little tiring, and they give them a rest for that. I would agree with, but the Indian authorities will know better than I. But I think that I would agree with them by doing that.
And that's Caribbean in 10. Join us again at 6:30 for Caribbean Newsline. Until then, good afternoon.